director of the Africa program at Chatham House. In fact, Alex, that clip in the report was you talking to me at about this time yesterday. Is the picture any clearer? Because when we were speaking 24 hours ago, it was still quite confused.
Well, a coup has happened, and we've had the United Nations, the regional body, ECOWAS, and others calling for the African Union also calling for a return to civilian rule. So that's clear, which 24 hours ago it wasn't when we were talking about this. So a coup has happened, and the question now will be how long will be the transition that the military junta are saying that they want to implement. What's the region in particular going to do? There's a big discussion in the economic community of West African states. Do they impose sanctions now? What should they do?
Yeah, absolutely. But in terms of what's happening inside the country, is it possible to say that the entire military will follow the orders of this colonel and the head of the special forces who led the coup?
Good question. That still is unclear, but we haven't seen any reports of any fighting. The situation in Guinea seems tense but calm at the moment. And so it suggests to me that maybe the rest of the military are going to fall in behind the head of special forces, Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, who led this coup attempt with his special unit.
And do you think most of the people of Guinea would agree with Doumbouya that poverty and corruption forced him to act?
Well, your report covered it, that President Conde last year held a referendum in March, which changed the constitution, because originally the Guinean constitution was that you could only run for 2 terms. So he was finishing his 2nd term, but he changed the constitution, said, well, I can now run again for another 2 terms. So that would be another 10 to 11 years in power. And that's something I think that Guineans particularly didn't want to see. It's correct that poverty levels have remained stubbornly high in Guinea, despite it being a resource-rich country. It's particularly strategic for bauxite, for example. 26% of global supply of bauxite comes from Guinea, and that there is a lot of money in Guinea, but it hasn't reduced poverty.
Okay, you were mentioning about the political reaction around the region and the United Nations as well, calling for the release of President Alpha Conde. But in terms of West Africa, when you move a little bit further towards the east and across the Sahel, I mean, rather than the political reaction, what might the reaction be of other military units and leaders around West Africa and the Sahel?
So it's a complicated pattern. As you and I discussed yesterday, there was a coup last year in Mali. And so there is a military administration in Mali at the moment that claims it's on a pathway to transition towards a return to democratic rule. But there have been other democratic advances. So, for example, in neighboring Mali, you have Niger, where you had a peaceful transfer of power there from one civilian government to a new one. And so the picture is complicated. What was worrying was that a number of presidents have been changing constitutions and running for 3rd terms. There has been a consensual position in the economic community of West African states, ECOWAS states, that you just serve for 2 terms and then you step down. But we had the change of the constitution in Guinea last year that I mentioned in March last year, but you've also had it in Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, where President Ouattara then ran again and is running for a 3rd term.
Alex, really appreciate it. Again, Alex Vines, who is from Chatham House.